Welcome back, art students. We're going to work more on figure drawing today, and we'll get into a little of proportion and details. I'm going to share with you parts of a book about Degas. He was an artist who loved to study and paint people. Edgar Degas was born in Paris, France on July 19, 1834. Edgar had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. He was the oldest. His family was rich. Their house was big and fancy and filled with beautiful paintings. His father took him to many museums. Edgar liked to spend hours looking at famous paintings. Edgar thought he could become a better artist by copying famous paintings. One day, Edgar met a famous painter. He looked at Edgar's artwork. He told him to stop copying paintings in the museum. He told him to draw all of the time, no matter where he was. That's just what Edgar did. He drew and drew. He took his sketchbook everywhere. He went to the opera and to the ballet. He went to the local laundry, hat shops, and cafes. Soon Edgar's paintings began to change. He stopped painting fancy people just standing around doing nothing. Now Edgar began to draw people doing everyday things like combing their hair, bathing, ironing, or dancing. Sometimes Edgar sketched the same model in different positions. Then he would put them together in one painting. Many of Edgar's friends were also painters. His friends liked to paint outside in the sunlight. They painted fields and mountains and flowers. Degas was different. He liked to paint indoors in his studio. He would gather all the sketches that he had done around town and would paint the picture using oil paints. Degas sometimes took photographs to help him with his painting. He loved to paint ballet dancers. He studied the dancers backstage before the big performance. Sometimes he invited dancers to pose for him in his studio. They would do still poses. That means they had to hold still for a long time while he sketched them. From his many sketches, Edgar made many practice sculptures. Edgar worked on the sculpture for 4 years. Edgar also liked to go to the racetrack. He would sketch horses and their riders. Edgar brought his sketches home and painted in his studio. Just like the ballet paintings, he showed the horses and riders before the race like dancers waiting backstage. As Edgar grew older, he began to lose his eyesight. Edgar did more sculptures in wax, but most of the time he drew with pastels. He used big strokes. Edgar worked as an artist all his life. He never married or had children. You can learn more about Degas in the learning plan. So this week we want to start drawing very lightly in pencil so that way we can adjust things if need be. And the head, as we talked about last week, is an oval shape. And so for an adult, the head is going to fit into the body about 7 times. So if I measured the head here and I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just giving it a guess, I'll make a little mark. That means the feet are actually going to go all the way down here to be the correct proportions. And the legs are going to start halfway in between the top of the head and the feet. So I'd estimate halfway is around here. So I'll make a little mark, and I know that's where I want my legs to start. Just like Degas sometimes worked from pictures, you could work from a picture, or you might ask someone to pose and sit still for you while you draw. And we're going to use the shapes that we used last time, so either a large oval or an upside down triangle-ish shape. Something like that. And again, you can look at the worksheet for help. And I'm drawing a little darker so you could see, but you might draw even lighter. And now the legs, but they're going to go all the way down to this line I made before. When you draw the arms, they would actually, at least the wrists, our wrists, the part that connects the bottom of our arm and our hand, would reach the hips somewhere down here. So if you were drawing an arm at its side, that's where it would end, and then you would still have the hand. Now, if I'm drawing the arm up, I can check by kind of just using my fingers and seeing how far it might go. So I'm going to make the arms go up this way. And the more you practice this and people in different poses, the easier it will get. So I'm going to make 2 lines for the neck here, and then I'll go back in and erase. So I might erase these middle parts here. And I'll make a line for the shirt, and I'll follow the outline of the arms. Now I can erase what's inside and give a little more detail. If the arm looks a little funny, I might even try to fix it a little. So we can get more into faces in another video, but a little trick to know is the eyes, they're not at the top of the head as most people think they are when they first start drawing. They're actually right in the middle when you draw them. So if you look at your oval and find the middle, that's actually where the eyes are going to be. And usually when you're drawing hair, it's kind of nice to draw just the outside shape of the hair. That helps it make it a little easier sometimes. And again, tracing the outline of where I think the pants would be, or whatever clothing your figure is wearing, and go back in and erase. So now I have a figure with correct proportions, and I can really continue to add details. Maybe I change the shoes or the feet a little. Just remember, students, practice makes progress. See you next time.